Streets packed, voices rising, tensions exploding. Durban has become the center of a major national debate after thousands of protesters stormed the streets in a powerful anti-illegal immigration march that has captured attention across South Africa. Welcome back to Mzansi News Daily News, and as always, kindly smash the subscribe button, like and share this video, and I will give my analysis at the end. The march comes as South Africa continues to face a long-running and emotional debate over immigration, unemployment, crime and pressure on public resources. To understand why this moment has become so heated, we have to look back at South Africa's complex immigration history. Over the decades, the country has attracted migrants from across Africa and beyond, especially after the end of apartheid in 1994, when South Africa became a regional economic powerhouse. But as unemployment, poverty, and inequality remained major challenges, frustrations among some communities continued to grow. Now, those frustrations have erupted onto the streets of Durban. Crowds marched, chants echoed, banners filled the roads, emotions ran high. From local scooter drivers joining the demonstrations to powerful speeches from organizers and community members, the march highlighted deep concerns about undocumented immigration, crime, and economic struggles affecting ordinary South Africans. Protest organizers say their movement is peaceful, legal, and focused on demanding stronger border control, improved law enforcement, and action against illegal immigration. However, critics have warned that such protests can fuel xenophobia and increase tensions between South Africans and foreign nationals living in the country. The debate has now moved far beyond the streets of Durban. It has become a national conversation about identity, security, jobs, migration, and the responsibility of government to protect communities while respecting human rights. As South Africa watches this developing story, one question remains: will this movement lead to real solutions or deepen the divisions already challenging the nation? Stay with Mzansi News Daily News as we break down the facts, the reactions, and the bigger picture. And now, let's get into the full analysis.
our government want to kill us, they must kill us. And we are doing it peacefully, and we are doing it aligned with the rule of law. And someone was accusing us about running the horse in the city of Durban, saying that since he was born, he never seen what is happening. They say, where is the law that says it's not allowed? There's no law that says that. We are genius people. We may look down, we are genius people. We know exactly what is happening, and we know our constitution, and we know our regulations. That's why we are here. Police are respecting us, and everyone is respecting us. Thank you to Babu Mkhonazi for making sure that all the drug cartels in South Africa, now their time is over. And thank you for whomever that they have appointed General Mkhonazi to say to make sure that they deal with the organized crime in this country. Now it's time, all the youth of South Africa and everyone, whomever you are there, all corners of the world, can you all stand up and make sure that we reparate our own country peacefully, and making sure that we are following the rule of law, because when we are arrested, our country is going to be destroyed even more. Whomever that can come to this country with the aim of destroying it, because it's the last hope of Africa. The last hope of Africa, South Africa, can be destroyed by illegal immigrants, allowed by all these stupid politicians that are taking money from illegal routing, Julius Malema and all of other politicians. Their time is over.
Anyone who's here illegally doesn't have anything to worry about, and also they also should be making their voices heard when it comes to illegal immigration, instead of talking about xenophobia and like trying to be victims here. If this was happening in their own country, they would also feel the same way that we do, because we don't have a problem with people coming into the country. We keep on saying that. Come in legally the same way we always go to other countries. We have passports, we have visas, we travel. What they're doing is not traveling. They're invading the country under the disguise of traveling. You don't travel to a country for years and stay there. That's not traveling. You don't become a burden and start wanting free things. You see them on TV screaming for SASSA grants. Or do we owe those Ethiopians and Somalians SASSA grants? We don't pay taxes so they can go and have 50 children, and then we must pay for those children. They must go back to their countries. They must go back.
The illegal immigrants who say that they fear for their lives, do you think they are correct to say that?
If they feared for their lives, they wouldn't be here. Remember, they left their countries because they feared for their lives, didn't they? Now, if they fear for their lives, what's stopping them from going to the next country? No, they're still fighting to be in South Africa. If you fear for your life and you're an immigrant, this is the best time to go back home. I need you fear for your life. You ran away from your country because you feared for your life. Why are you fighting in South Africa? Why are you fighting for? Because not your country. Go back and fight in your country, or find another country to go to. We also have our own problems now. We've got many problems. The youth is unemployed. The youth is on drugs. There's problems. We are tired.
Insizwa zithatha isinqumo sokuthi zenze umbhikisho ukuthula njengoba uyibona nje phansi kanje zihlalele ukuthi zithi amaphoyisa zicela amaphoyisa angene la sinesiqiniseko sinamagama amaphoyisa uma ngabe amaphoyisa angangeni la sizobalula amagama amaphoyisa sikhipha amavideo amagama amaphoyisa nezithombe zawo amaphoyisa ahlomulayo kulabantu bokufika abahlala la kunama drugs la sithi thina amaphoyisa sicela ukuapprove ukuthi njengomphakathi yithi sinolwazi makuthiwa asihlale sisiza amaphoyisa ukuthi amaphoyisa enze umsebenzi wawo sethembeke siwumphakathi singahlangani nobugebengu silekelela amaphoyisa sisuke senzela lokho njengamanje sithi amaphoyisa sizohlala phansi thina bese sithi amaphoyisa sicela sesha mengatholanga lutho kunabo kuthina siyabonga mfethu.
What unfolded in Durban was not just another street march. It was one of the most talked about demonstrations in recent weeks, drawing thousands of people from different organizations, sectors, professions and communities into the streets under one message that South Africans are demanding stricter enforcement of immigration laws, stronger regulation of informal trade and tougher action against criminality. But beyond the chants, placards and emotional speeches, the march also exposed something much deeper: growing frustration among ordinary citizens who believe that issues surrounding undocumented immigration, drugs, illegal trade and economic pressure are no longer being addressed with urgency. At the same time, the demonstrations have triggered a fierce national debate. Critics continue to label some of these marches as xenophobic, while organizers insist they are constitutional, peaceful and focused on law enforcement rather than hatred toward foreign nationals. Durban became the latest battleground in this national conversation, from local scooter drivers joining the protest to dramatic scenes involving allegations of drugs in residential flats to speeches by organizers calling for sustained pressure on the government. The day unfolded with intensity, emotion and political significance. And perhaps what stood out most was not only the size of the crowds, but the level of coordination between organizers and law enforcement officials aimed at avoiding violence, destruction and unnecessary confrontation. Well, what the Durban March clearly demonstrated is that these concerns are no longer isolated to a small group of activists. The turnout itself showed that people from different professions, actors, are increasingly joining these demonstrations because they believe their frustrations are shared by many ordinary citizens across the country. And perhaps no voice has become more associated with this movement than that of March and March leader Jacinta Zuma, who continues to insist that these demonstrations are not driven by hatred, but by demands for government intervention and stricter law enforcement. As criticism around xenophobia intensifies nationally, organizers are now directly responding to those accusations while defending the purpose of their marches. Let us now listen to what Jacinta Zuma had to say regarding the demonstrations, the accusations being leveled against protesters, and why organizers insist the movement will continue.
We'll keep on marching until we win. That was the whole idea. It's, like from the onset, the first march, we did say it's not the last one. We'll continue to march until our government listens to what we have to say. And as expected, we did know that the next best thing that people will do is to spread this xenophobic notion. So that's the news going around the world now, that we're xenophobic. And of course, typical of our government, they are panicking because they know that their business interests are being shaken. Unfortunately, when push comes to shove, the country is about its people. It's not about their businesses. And we're not going to negotiate our safety in our country anymore with politicians who know that they live in high walls and they've got their children not affected by any of what's happening today and what's happening in our communities. So if they want to keep illegal immigrants, they must take them and put them in their neighborhoods. They must sell their spother shops. They must open them for their children, and then we'll see that they're really passionate about this anti-xenophobia notion. Well, it might not make a difference to our government because we know they think they have monopoly over the people, but it does make a difference to the people because every day more and more people are realizing just what a mess we've been living in and been tolerating for the longest time because we've been gaslighted by being told that the Constitution says. And the very people who have been tasked with making sure that they adapt the Constitution for all the needs of the South Africans as the years go by are not doing that. So now, as they said in the Freedom Charter that the people shall govern, we're demonstrating that this is our country. And if they're scared of foreigners, we're not scared of them. And we're not going to be the only ones respecting the laws of this country while they allow foreigners to do as they wish, because they know that they've got businesses all over the African continent. So therefore, they're protecting their own businesses with our lives. So that is the unfair part.
According to statements made during interviews and public appearances, March and March leader Jacinta Zuma stated that protesters are demanding stricter enforcement against undocumented immigration and tighter regulation of informal trade sectors. She said demonstrations would continue until the government addresses the concerns being raised by communities, acknowledged that the movement may not immediately influence government policy, but insisted that protesters would continue mobilizing because many South Africans believe the issue directly affects their livelihoods and survival. She argued that authorities are hoping public anger will eventually fade away, but maintained that communities remain determined to keep pressure on government structures regarding immigration enforcement, economic participation and public safety concerns. What becomes important here is not just the speeches themselves, but the growing scale of participation. Because the more these demonstrations spread across cities and provinces, the more difficult it becomes to ignore the social frustrations driving them. And one of the strongest visuals from Durban was the participation of local scooter drivers, a symbol that these protests are now extending beyond activists and political organizations into everyday economic sectors where people say survival has become increasingly difficult. The participation of scooter drivers in Durban sent a powerful message. These are ordinary working people who spend their days navigating the streets, competing for income, searching for opportunities, and trying to survive economically. Their presence reflected a belief among many protesters that economic pressure, unemployment, and informal sector competition are becoming serious national concerns. This is also why the xenophobia debate has become so heated. Critics argue that these demonstrations risk fueling hostility toward foreign nationals, while supporters insist they are demanding lawful immigration systems and prioritization of citizens in economic opportunities. But what cannot be ignored is the scale of participation. Thousands of people from different backgrounds continue appearing at these marches. That alone suggests there are genuine frustrations that government cannot simply dismiss as isolated incidents or online outrage. At the same time, the responsibility on organizers remains enormous. Peaceful protests must remain peaceful. Law enforcement must continue protecting innocent people regardless of nationality. And political leaders must avoid inflammatory rhetoric that could trigger violence or division. South Africa's challenges require lawful solutions, balanced leadership, and honest engagement with communities. Ignoring frustrations entirely risks deepening tensions further, but allowing emotions to override the rule of law would also create dangerous consequences. The real challenge is finding a path that protects national sovereignty, respects constitutional rights, and prevents hatred or violence from taking root. The Durban demonstrations have now become part of a much larger national conversation unfolding across South Africa. A conversation about immigration, unemployment, crime, economic pressure, border control, law enforcement, and the frustrations of ordinary citizens who believe their voices